here we can see that we have the German RU-251, WZ-132, AMX 3090 here all lined up, and yeah, tanks all pretty much built in the 1940s. Okay, this one's 1960s, this one's 1960s, and well, that doesn't really matter to be fair in this game. So 90mm, 90mm, and 100mm for the WZ-132, and you have say the same, almost similar-ish signal range, so that doesn't really matter. Speed-wise, you can see that 64, 64, 80. RU-251 is going to get to those positions very easily, and I think that is a really big advantage over the WZ-132 and AMX. And then you have a hit point difference as well, so you can see this tank survives a lot, and most of the secondary objectives are to survive, so this could be the difference between life and death, you know, that 100 hit point difference. So yeah, this RU-251 here is also the best. And armor wise, yeah, RU is the weakest, and WZ is the best. Engine horsepower though, as you can see, this thing has the best horsepower per ton ratio, and traverse speed, although WZ-132 is the best, beating that RU-251 by 12 degrees per second faster, so that's quite a bit as well. So you gotta think that although WZ doesn't travel faster in a straight line, it does turn a lot better, so maybe it's gonna make those snake moves harder for the enemy to snipe you with. They'll have pretty much the same other stats. Hard resistance, obviously, that they're all like hidden stats, but to be fair, I've played all of them, and I can tell you AMX 3090 is the most sluggish shit in there. WZ is fairly nimble turning around, but it's quite slow, and RU-251 is fast and it can slide, so I think mobility wise RU-251 wins no matter what. Armor wise WZ wins, and let's check out the viewing distance, and all of them is 400, so no difference, you can really scout in any of them. RU does turn the turret slowest though, only by a bit, so not really much of a problem. Here comes the gun. So okay, the WZ does have a better damage gun, but it's only 10 health point difference, so really doesn't really matter. And more importantly, RU-251's HE rounds, they have 100mm penetration on the HE, 112mm, so you could pen a lot of light tanks with this thing. So what you find that RU-251 is going to do a lot more damage in every single game compared to the WZ. So if you're thinking about scouting, okay, WZ might be as good as a scout, but in my opinion, here we can see also the damage difference. Do not use the AMX 3090 because, you know, most of the time, okay, you probably camp in a bush and spot, but getting to that location, AMX 3090 takes a bit too long, and on some maps to get there early is an advantage. So yeah, but then the AMX 3090 played well, you could really do a lot of damage, which we all know of, but then it's not that kind of reliable damage you really want to do it with. So in my opinion, RU-251 wins also the gun category. So camo value, okay, it's not displayed here, but yeah, but anyway, RU-251 basically statistically is best for this kind of mission. So let's get into some gameplays and show you. So guys, this is WZ-132, Chinese tier 8 light tank, and well, how should I describe this thing? It's definitely not as good as the RU-251. It's more reliable than the T-49. It's a different type of tank compared to the AMX 3090, and I'm going to show you how to do this light tank 15 in this light tank here on Malinovka. Now there's only like I think 3 maps in the game which you could really count on doing this light tank 15. And the best map is by far is Prokhorovka. I've completed previous light tank 15s for my Sturg 4 and T-28 concept, heavy tank concept, in my WZ-131 tier 7 tank. That was quite easy. Those missions were fairly easy. But now we're in a WZ-132, and in this really good location here, spotting all of them. So this is the bush you want to use, right? Not the one. Don't put your tank here. Put it here, because, well, you could still see through the bush. So as you can see, the bush is still transparent. So yeah, you could still see through it. It's within 5 meters. And whatever you do, just don't pull the trigger. Now, one thing I don't like the WZ-132 is that it doesn't quite have, you know, that accurate gun you really want to have. The aim time is far too bad, really, to pull out clutch shots, really, when you really need for your light tank, because you really shouldn't take your time to aim in your light tanks, in my opinion. So here I'm just trying to spot for my team and just praying that they do the job they really should do to destroy the enemy tanks. And here's one thing I really got to highlight is you gotta keep your nerves. Remember, you in your light tank, you're not supposed to do damage. Now, if you're trying to do damage and complete the mission that way, you might as well drive your RU-251, because that gun actually performs a lot better. So WZ-132, you just don't use the gun. Not on really good maps like Malinovka or Prokhorovka. Now, the third map, which I think you could also do the mission on if you're lucky, but that is if you're really lucky, alright? Oh, took a shot there. But, okay, so let me just finish that phrase. So, the third map is Lakeview, and that map, if you go to the beginning, in the beginning of the game, go to the middle bit, on the middle section, really aggressively, you could spot. But, again, it's quite unlikely that the enemies will drive close to the lake where you could actually spot them and your team really could put the damage in. So, really, Malinovka and Prokhorovka are the best two. Prokhorovka by far the best, but they kind of already know the position to, you know, shoot you at. So I took a hit there, if you paid attention, in the tracks, and you can see track damage, no damage, AP. Now, most of you guys probably would have moved there. Now, I didn't move because I realized that if I moved, first of all, it would have deactivated my camo net, which means that I'm more likely to be spotted. And if I'm a tank on the enemy team, okay, we're all getting killed, murdered on this side, we're all getting spotted. Right, there must be a light tank somewhere, and that light tank somewhere must be in this bush. Look, that SP-1C doesn't know I'm here. He's blind firing the bushes, trying to take me out. I'm not gonna move. If I move, he knows that I'm here. If I start moving, because my camo value will drop significantly as I deactivate my camo net. So you gotta be strong mentally. You know, you gotta be able to take that pressure, right? You gotta think. Now, can he spot me? Well, if he didn't spot me 5 minutes ago, why should he spot me now? I didn't move or anything. It's not like he progressed like 50 meters or what. So yeah, that distance he shouldn't really be able to spot me. And I judged that perfectly. I didn't move. And we've done tons of spotting damage here and there. You shouldn't pull your trigger at all in this kind of situation. But then now this game's getting into a bit of a stalemate. So often, me as a player, I might want to have that just mindset to start pushing. But really, you shouldn't really push here. You should stay focused in that bush, because if you think about it, if you don't know who's behind another bush, maybe there's a counterpart who's hiding in another bush near you. Maybe that you haven't spotted him, he hasn't spotted you. But if you start moving now in the stalemate kind of stage of the game, you know that guy behind the bush with his bino, he will spot you then, and that would be very nasty for you. So here I still haven't fired a single round, but you can see that because I want to do the mission really badly, I've already loaded APCR, so that when I do need to pump out the damage with my main gun, I could increase my chance of hitting that 8,000 damage spotted and done milestone, I would call it. So yeah, the IS-7 here is still behind, in that little hill there. Strong position, but there's 2 artillery on my team, and I have spotted him 24/7. He doesn't quite know that he's spotted all this time, and the RT is really raining on him. Yeah, I'm pinging him to tell him to tell my platoon, my team to take him out. Oh, there's just that juicy side of a Yak Tiger. Do I want to pump a shot in him? Not the best situation, because in this map here, the reason why I say you really don't want yourself to be spotted is that getting away from here alive is going to be very difficult. And yes, they're nading the IS-7. Now, if you think about it, okay, if I shoot for 200 damage, 250 damage, let's say, I might have just done 250 extra damage, but to be honest, if I just stayed here and caused the spotting and not get killed myself, wouldn't that be a lot better? So my advice for all of you guys watching this video, who's probably all stuck on this mission for quite a while, I would say just keep your nerves, you know, just stay concentrated, know what you're doing, and shit, you see, the second I moved, I get spotted. Yeah, there's a Yak Tiger. Fuck. Oh. Yeah, you can see that I really shouldn't have moved there. And this is not really gonna be a really good example to show you guys because I moved. But you can see from my mistakes, hopefully you see that I have made this mistake. Therefore, you're not gonna make that mistake. So, yeah, absolutely do not move once you're in that kind of really good position, because you don't know who's behind whatever bush they are behind, and if you start deactivating your camo net, your chances could be gone. And now I'm thinking, okay, I've probably done my 8k spotting damage now, but still I'm not quite sure. I might have done 750, so let's increase our chance of doing it. And most importantly, I would want to complete it with honors, because I personally don't play artillery missions. My artillery missions are still somewhere like on 1 mission complete or whatever it is, because I don't play artillery. And I know most of you guys don't even complete the artillery mission, just like me, because we're not good with scumbags. So here in the WZ-132, I try to do, it's just a extra bit of spotting, and then holy shit, where and how did I just get spotted? And this is the most dangerous location, because you don't have a clue who spotted you from what direction, but you know you shouldn't stay there. And so I relocate, and I thought I got out of trouble. I thought I got out of trouble there, which I do think I have. So I want to keep on moving forward. And then the fuck, I still don't understand it to this point, how I got myself killed. Now the only explanation I could really think of is that T-49 spotted me, Yak Tiger pumped me with his shot, and that was my mission over. I did do 9,000 damage spotting, but I didn't get my second objective done, so therefore I didn't really complete the mission technically, because I didn't get my T-55A. But next game I'm going to show you how to complete it on the exact location with a different tank, and also give you guys a view of the other potential tank you could really use to do this mission. This game we did win eventually, but again I died. Therefore, you see, secondary objective, secondary conditions to survive the battle, I didn't do that, and pretty sad. Actually 7,000 damage spotting. Okay, only 7,000, but I did 8,000, so yeah, that was 1,000 over what I need to do. But the T-49 was in that bush there, and he really did cause my problem, and I was scratching my head just like most of you guys watching this video probably. I was so close doing it, and if you go on my channel you probably could see me in the RU-251 using just the gun, right, to pump out 4,000, 5,000 damage and do like the rest spotting. And I didn't do the mission because I was like, I think 400 damage short of 7k or some shit like that. It's ridiculous. And I did it on a map where it wasn't for a scout tank, it was more like a medium tank map, but because I chose the RU-251, I was able to use that 240, 50-ish damage gun, really good gun, to punish the opponents and almost do my mission. on that kind of, you know, not very favored light tank map. But yeah, you could also do it with firepower, but the chance of that happening is really unlikely that, you know, you ever get to that 7,000 mark. I did get close to it 2 times in a row, but not quite. And holy shit, this Panda E100 bounced. Leopard is going to get the kill hopefully here. Yep. And yeah, that game was over for the enemy team as soon as the Panda E100 player died. And what else I want to highlight is that you really got to choose the really good light tank. I don't really recommend you to do AMX 1390, but it should also work. But I think the best is what we're going to see in a second. So let's jump to the next replay. R in the RU-251 and previous game in the WZ-132 didn't quite go as well because I died in the end, therefore didn't really do the mission successfully, but did complete the primary objective, which was alright, which I also got a bit unlucky. But you know, this time we're going to try our luck with the RU-251, and I think this is the tank you do it in. So as you can see, my setup, this is my tips. Alright, here this carefully. For my WZ I have camo net and binos and also colored optics, because I don't rely on the gun really on that Chinese light tank. But the RU-251 is different. It has a really good gun. So for the RU-251, because I can also reliably do a couple of thousand damage if I really need to, because the gun actually hits the target. So I'm sacrificing the gun rammer. The gun rammer for colored optics in those other tanks. But this tank, I'm taking the rammer instead of the binos. But as you can see that I've taken the colored optics chocolate, which actually give me like ultimate boost, and camo net also, that really helps with this kind of passive scouting behind bushes. And the worst thing happens, alright? A T-54 lightweight comes within this range to me. He's definitely gonna spot me now, so no point staying here. So I gotta quickly think, alright, where am I gonna go? So there's tanks here, and there's tank here, and there's a tank here. So my best chance to survive right now is not run around here, to get down into that ditch there. And this all happens in your mind quickly, and I was like, fuck, I finally got a good map, right? All of them I got previously were city maps, and finally I got a good enough map for me to do this mission in. And yeah, we get into this kind of fucked up situation. Artillery nails him, nice, and just waiting to be unspotted now. And then we're gonna move ourselves out of the situation, and I drive in a straight line to get out of line of fire as soon as I get spotted again, zigzagging, and take a shot there. Very lucky it didn't really go through. And we're gonna try to go back there again, because I don't feel quite satisfied, you know, just staying here in this bush. And I got spotted again, and fuck, KV-3 smashed me, ammo racked me, and now zigzagging again. I think it's just time that we give up, really, because now the team is getting destroyed on the other flank here. As you can see, enemy M103 is pushing up, and we really have no choice but to stay here now, because it's going to be too dangerous popping over to the front bush, which we were down there before in the previous game. But yeah, basically this bush here, the front bush here. But don't hide in, let me show you. So don't hide in this bush here, hide in this one here, and you should actually still see everything's transparent, because you're within 5 meters. So now I'm wondering, right, there's no point for me to push, because sooner or later enemy tanks here, they're gonna push around this area, which they're doing already. So therefore, if I camp in this little bush here, I should be able to continue spotting them as they come over trying to cap us, and we would have people here sniping at them. That's the original plan. and just trying to execute it. So my tip is that, this is why I choose the RU251. The gun is much more reliable. You're gonna do a lot more damage. You could easily do a couple of thousand of damage in your RU251 when needed. Now they all have pretty much the same scouting abilities. Now it's also a matter of who gets where first, because I feel like RU251, you have the speed to get there, and you can see you can also sometimes shoot yourself out of trouble. And I would also recommend you using binos if you want in this tank. But I felt like for my RU251, unlike the WZ where I would almost 100% depend on my team doing assistant damage while I'm spotting, the RU251 can actually, even in a city map, do a couple of thousand damage, and if I get lucky spot a few thousand, then we could have done the mission. So if you've been checking out my video on the Italian map, I think the one where you have a little coast, the Italian one, on that map, which is definitely not a light tank map, there's literally no bush to spot in. I managed to come, I think, within 400 health points away from the 7,000 mark to complete this mission, but it took me another couple of months before I started playing World of Tanks again with this light tank. When I actually tried again, I managed to do it within 3 days, I'd say. And really, when I really tried to get this mission done, because I'd done my medium Tank-15, I only had this light tank to play. I really tried my best, so I got my I bought my RU251 back and sold my WZ132, because 132 wasn't that capable. Really, you had to only spot, and for me, if you just want to spot, they all pretty much do the same job, except that the RU can dish out damage. And yeah, the trick here is that you don't fire at them. If you fire, you're gonna give you a position. So I'll recommend you just, if you really want this mission done right, if you really want to be dedicated and complete this mission ASAP, I recommend you not play one game in your light tank like once per day. I want you to say to yourself, right, I want this mission done, therefore I'm gonna play every single game. I'm gonna play this exact one tank, because that's gonna really get yourself adapted to the the gun handling and the speed and mobility of this tank you're driving. So if you really want to do this mission in particular, you gotta say to yourself, right, that's it, I'm gonna get myself the chocolate. And that's why I don't recommend you to sell the chocolate when you get them for Christmas, when Wargaming give it to you for free. Keep them, because okay, you might earn 200k by selling them, but I think it's more important to keep them, because let's say I got 20 chocolate right now in my garage. Now I just gamble that within those 20 games I play, I'll have one game where I'll complete it, and I think, okay, I might sell it for 200k, but to me, I think it's wouldn't you pay 200k just to get this mission done? So this chocolate might make the difference. So if I was to complete this mission about 5 months ago in my RU251 on that Italian map, if I had a better rate of fire, if I had just a bit more view range because I had the chocolate on, wouldn't you think I'll complete the mission then, instead of wasting all this month, playing maybe one game per day and sucking at it and not getting the map, the right map? Well, I think it's probably best for you to keep those chocolates and give it to your German crew. And I do understand you guys can probably do the mission T49 if you get lucky enough, but for a reliable mission doer, it's definitely the RU251, and I say that from my experience. Why? Simply because I have played all the light tanks in the game. So yeah, I do think I know what I'm talking about. The RU251 just does the job really a lot better than most other tanks. And simply, if you can have your map of awareness, you know what you're doing, and you should be really ready for this mission. And the rest is down to luck and your team perhaps. But you can see this game in the start, I had a really bad, horrible start, but it doesn't really matter. I was able to get myself on track, even though I had some difficulties here in this game. But at the end of the day, you got to make sure that you do what you need to do to win it. Even adapting, change your positioning. You got to think quick when you're in a light tank. For example, what happened when I saw that T-54 lightweight coming towards me? I knew I had to do something. And one more tip: if you want to complete it with the secondary objective done, I recommend you, guess that, okay, now I've done 7,000 damage probably. No point for me to go aggressive and make that last push, because sometimes if you push and you think, oh, I'm not quite sure, I might have done 6.5k damage, but just want to do that extra bit more. Sometimes that can get you killed because you're trying to be more certain of your game. Trying to aim here, but it didn't really matter to me. I really know that I have done my mission, and learning from my mistakes last game, I am not going to go out and try to chase down the enemy heavy tanks and get myself killed there, because if you think about it, it only takes them 2 shots to take me out, and I got no time to waste really. I don't want to just extra bit of XP by shooting those heavy tanks. So you gotta play it cool. You gotta know what you're doing, and more importantly, if you aren't sure about your mission, maybe you're still stuck on the Stug 4 or the T-28 prototype, I got another video where I play on Prohorovka. Now I think Prohorovka is the best map for this mission, but the Malinovka also works. Now I would recommend you turn off assault mode and encounter mode, because standard mode you have the standard Prohorovka, which means that more players go to that flank where you're gonna spot on. I think that's the western flank. If you look at it on the map, it's the west side of the map. So if you want to do this mission, then I do recommend you turn off encounter and assault. Just have standard, and standard you have Malinovka and Prohorovka to do this mission. So hopefully this video has helped you out, and I have done 8.9k damage, so 8,900 damage, spotting damage here, and only put 1 shot into the IS-2 in the end. So it's all about your experience sometimes. I feel like if you are struggling with this game, perhaps you don't know the locations, you don't have to find that out yourself. All you have to do is to follow the already successful routes and adapt it yourself. So for example, I was going to the front bush. The situation wasn't the same as, for example, when QB or Circumflex is played. I had to adapt to it. I had to run away from that bush and camp in the next bush behind it, which was the game winner bush really, because that way I could really spot for my team as the enemy team pushed near our cap flag. So as you can see, that it's all about adapting yourself and adapt the tactics, and the most important of all, good luck and enjoy it while you're grinding this mission. And yeah, of course, load a few heat round in your RU. Do recommend a lot of HE, because the HE really pens those weakly armored tanks and do a lot of damage. So hopefully this video helped you out. If you've got any more questions, please ask me in the comments below, and we shall see you next time.